24 hours after we got the news that the US government was shutting down, the entire market is now almost green. There's only a select few that are red, and on this list, there's actually only 3 that are red currently. It's a green sea across the board, with a lot of altcoins like HBAR up 4+%, almost 5%. XRP not up a crazy amount today. I know that a lot of people were expecting a little bit more out of XRP. It's only up about 4.3%. XLM is up about almost 10% today. Now you might be wondering, all right, well, why isn't my altcoin going absolutely crazy? I will answer that question in this video, including, of course, why XRP isn't going insane. But the biggest thing that I'm focused on here is the fact that Bitcoin is back to almost 119K, and it did cross 119K a little bit ago. Ethereum is back to over 4,300 plus. On the weekly, we could see both Bitcoin and Ethereum up 5+%, Ethereum up almost 7%. This is a very good reaction. This is exactly what we wanted to see. This is exactly what we were waiting for, as well. Going over the last couple of days, I was saying, listen, we're starting to see a higher low. We should start to see a big impulsive move here if we're going to get it, which is also why I said over on X, the market is about to get violent again. That was 17 hours ago. I said they didn't believe it, but now it's happening. Lock in. Now, why did I say this? Was it me guessing? Was it me engagement farming? No. I said with Bitcoin creating a higher low structure, and this happened on the 25th and the 26th. We had 2 additional daily candles here that were very good impulses. This one was the biggest one of all of them, going from 109K to over 112 plus K. But that wasn't the only thing. Look at RSI during this time while the price is going up. RSI was trailing lower while price action was still in an uptrend. This is bullish divergence. Then, on top of us having this nice higher low, we technically got another higher low within this. It wasn't a crazy higher low, but then this was followed by a higher high officially today. Well, earlier yesterday, if you will, because it is now midnight, but we got the higher high today officially. This now has signaled Bitcoin is in bullish structure. We have a daily candle close over those resistance levels, 117.3K. We are ready to watch this retarget some of these previous highs. If we manage to break over on the daily and clear this on a daily candle close, 120K, we will target the highs going back from the middle of August. This is around 123.3K. If we manage to, on the weekly, we're 3 days and 23 hours away. On the weekly, if we manage to close over 119.5K, Bitcoin is going to go absolutely crazy, and that should be $130,000. We were looking at 130K, for a bit of time now, but this will be the main target on this next big move if we manage to clear those levels. But this is a very good reaction on Bitcoin. Now, one of the biggest things that everyone has been talking about is the US government shutting down. Here we have the update from the Kabaisi letter. Government shutdown facts the media won't cover. The average length of a shutdown is only 8 days. The S&P 500 has ended higher 1 year after a shutdown in 86% of cases. The S&P 500 posts an average gain of plus 13% 1 year after the shutdown ends. During the 35-day shutdown in 2018, the S&P 500 rallied 11%. While the government is shut down, the U.S. defers $400 million a day in cost. The Fed generally turns more dovish if the government data releases are paused. Historically, the market actually welcomes shutdowns. History says any downside as a result of the government shutdown will be bought. Couple this with rate cuts into rising inflation, and the rotation into assets will continue. Markets have entered a new era. And yes, during this time, Bitcoin has been going absolutely crazy, and stocks just recorded another all-time high, 6,700 plus, on its way to my original 7K target. The S&P is looking extremely good here. right? We had that sell-off kind of reset to RSI a bit, right? I talked about this in a recent video as well, how we had a very similar candle close going back to September 17th before new all-time highs. I said that the S&P is going to go to new all-time highs. Boom, break to new all-time highs. Crypto will make new all-time highs, which is why I'm definitely focused on Bitcoin going into the weekly candle close. I'm very bullish on this weekly candle close. I'm looking at this on all time frames as well. Like even for an example, on the 3-day, we just crossed the moving average for the first time in a very long time. And I do suspect that if we could start to see a much larger break here, again, 120K is like the main target here. If we manage to close over this level on the 3-day, that will be extremely bullish. So far, we are looking pretty good on almost every single major structure here for Bitcoin, and I do suspect that that is going to continue. Now, the main thing is the entire market. So the entire market, we just crossed $4 trillion yet again. We're looking very good here on the 1 year as we see this nice high. This is a higher low compared to the low from August, and now we're just looking for a higher high. We're mainly looking at that $4.17 trillion level at a time where the fear and greed index is still around 51, which is neutral, which tells us that we have a lot of, steam left in the tank for, this market to move higher. So I'm definitely watching as we do really kind of continue to cook here across the board. Also, talking about altcoins, right? Because again, everyone wants to know, all right, well, with Bitcoin going crazy and even Ethereum has been doing very well as well. I mean, we just crossed almost 4,400. This is what it looks like on the 1 month. We're starting to get closer to some of those key levels that we need to break over. Very strong reaction on the 7-day structure. I mean, it just looks very, very good here. But most altcoins are still kind of boring. I mean, when it comes to XRP, XRP is only up about 2.5% in the last 7 days. On the daily, yeah, we might be up 4+%. But looking at this thing on the 1 month, we still have a lot of room to go. So the question here is, why aren't altcoins going absolutely insane? Well, the main reason for this is because of dominance. With Bitcoin dominance, we are still starting to break out on the weekly. This is something that we need to be watching. Now, the question here is, we're about to have a retest of the moving average for the first time since going all the way back here to January, where we actually broke above this, and this caused Bitcoin dominance to rally. The question here is, do we reject this moving average, or are we going to continue to break out? Because again, on the weekly right now, we are 3 days and 23 hours away. We are breaking back out on this Bitcoin dominance chart. This is something that we need to watch closely because this is something that we don't want to see on this chart. So the main key level that we are watching here on Bitcoin dominance for any sign of, a significant breakout would be clearing some of these high levels up here. This is where we would see most of the resistance. So again, I'm just watching this chart. I don't suspect that it's going to break out in a big way, especially at this time of, just the cycle of where we are at. And also on top of that, also with, altcoins right now, they're starting to gain a lot of dominance over the market. So although this chart is starting to break back out to the upside, I'm not expecting a lot of strength to form on this. If anything, we're probably seeing a little bit of a dead cat bounce on Bitcoin dominance while, we see Bitcoin breaking back up to the upside, which is exactly what we wanted to see anyways. So this chart is just kind of reacting with what Bitcoin is doing. Again, a lot of the focus is on Bitcoin at this point anyways, because we want to see Bitcoin break to a new high and continue higher here to kind of support the market. But beyond that, right, one of the biggest things that we are focused on during this time as well is the other dominance chart, which is the Bitcoin dominance and the Ethereum dominance chart, which is still sitting around 72. On the 3-week, this is starting to show some signs of life, which again, very similar to the Bitcoin one. We don't want to see that. However, it does make a lot of sense considering the fact that both Bitcoin and Ethereum are starting to have a nice break back to the upside. We will see this fluctuate quite a bit with what Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing, especially having such a significant sell-off like we recently did have. And again, when we are looking at a lot of these charts, the key thing is just kind of looking at others' dominance. With this chart, there is no change at all on this chart. So we are not yet in that alt season. Again, even going back to like November and December, everyone loved altcoins during this time. However, we really never broke out and we never really had a significant push on this chart. So that's why I'm watching this chart to give us that major indicator of, all right, well, that's it. We need to start preparing because we are about to enter into, alt season. So I'm still watching this. We have yet to see any signs of, a signal that we are about to witness altcoins going absolutely insane. But one thing that I am watching is Google Trends. And recently, I have to say, Cointelegraph did post this. This was on the 30th. Bullish, Google searches for altcoin season are rising again. This is a very good sign. Again, when it comes to the market, current view of the top gainers and losers in the top 500 over the last 7 days. We are watching as some altcoins, like for an example, even Zcash, are up over 100+% in the last 7 days. Again, this is 7-day gains. So I'm not like saying, oh, hey, look at these are crazy gains. No, because again, this is 7-day gains. I know to a lot of people that sounds crazy because we're up 100+% on the last 7 days. But comparing this back to, previous cycles in terms of like alt season, these types of gains happen in, a day. So, although, yes, we're starting to see some altcoins showing signs of life, we are not there yet to say, hey, guess what, we're in alt season. But this is a very good sign that some of the older altcoins, some of the OGs like Zcash, are starting to bounce in a big way, which is showing us that there is some demand for altcoins at this moment. And even when it comes to the altcoin season index, we're still around 60 out of 100. So again, a lot of buying opportunities are out there for altcoins, and it seems as though a lot of people are taking those opportunities right now. So that's a very, very good sign. But also, when it comes to Bitcoin and the entire market, I said that quarter four is going to be very bullish. I do believe that quarter four is going to be extremely bullish because I do believe that Bitcoin is following the 2017-2018 structure perfectly, which should have us trading, I would say by the end of October, we should be close to $140,000 on Bitcoin. I'm not saying that that's a guarantee, but I do suspect that that's where we should be seeing Bitcoin trading at, especially if we go all the way back to 2017, 2018. Just for reference real quick, in September of 2017, I'm trying to find it on the chart. Here we have September, or this is July into August. And then here we have September. So September was a pretty rough time. Here we have the sell-off into September. Then towards the end of September, we started to bounce again. And then by the middle of October, we were trading at almost new all-time highs. Well, we were trading at all-time highs. And this just continued all the way through the end of October. In fact, from the middle of September to where we ended off the month for October, we were up over 118+%. Then we had a nice little dip in November, and then we just continued to rally all the way through into December. So when it comes to where we are at right now for Bitcoin, just kind of looking at this, we have our nice dip in September. So far from our low to where we are currently trading at, we're up about 9+%. Again, previous candle about roughly 9.79%. To a new all-time high, it would be about 14.39%. If we continue to break to 140K, Bitcoin would have to pump about 30%. Compared to that 120+% gain back in 2017, I would argue that this is definitely possible to end off the month. And we could definitely go much higher. I think that a lot of people underestimate how fast Bitcoin can move in this market, especially where we are starting to see a lot of institutional grade and even retail grade adoption. Just for reference, back in June, right? And you would argue that a lot of people were not really paying attention back in June. From roughly, and this is like the middle of June, from the middle of June to roughly the beginning of July, we pumped over 20+%. Again, time frame wise, this was only a difference of about 21 days, so about 3 weeks. When it comes to Bitcoin right now, if we are going to pump like 20+%, we'll just say, off those lows again, 20+%, we'll say like 22, right? That would be 132.7K. Anywhere between 130, 140K is like the main focus, or just like simply a new all-time high on Bitcoin. That's what we're focused on here. And again, when it comes to altcoins, yeah, we might be a little bit in the waiting room when it comes to altcoins, but we should see altcoins follow through very quickly as well. Again, XRP is not shy to this. Here we have the nice little pump, pretty boring price action up until roughly November, where we went absolutely insane. So far, we've been pretty boring, I would argue, since about roughly July. And I do think that we should start to see Altseason really show up around the same exact time frame of 2017. So anywhere between like November all the way through to like Q1 should be prime time for altcoins. And I'm not saying that we have to wait until November to see any signs of life on these charts. I'm just saying that that's where we should start to see those really violent moves for altcoins. Right now, the main focus is Bitcoin recovering fully, and then Ethereum also creating an all-time high on the weekly, because we never saw that weekly candle close above its 2021 all-time highs. But so far, this is a very good sign. And yeah, I'm very excited about this. I really do think everyone should prepare for Q4. I think Q4 is going to be very, very bullish. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, so notifications on, because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.